Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020, and I'll call the City of Homestead City Council meeting to order. Before we go forward, I need to announce that due to COVID-19, this will be a virtual council meeting. The meeting can be viewed live on the City Access channel or city website at cityofhomestead.com. The City of Homestead will be accepting public comments as part of this meeting, and those comments can be emailed to publiccomments@cityofhomestead.com. Again, that's publiccomments@cityofhomestead.com. Those comments will be accepted throughout the duration of this meeting and for a period of 30 minutes thereafter. Those comments should be limited to no more than 300 words and will be made part of the record and minutes of this meeting. Additionally, public comments with respect to agenda items were solicited through noon yesterday, April 21st, 2020. And to my understanding, according to the clerk, no comments or questions were submitted from the public with respect to any specific agenda item today. So therefore, we will not stop and address any pre-submitted public comments or take public comments simultaneously as none were submitted. And for the record, all councilmen, no, 6 of our 7 council members are present. In addition to myself, Councilman Shelley is here, Vice Mayor Faircloth-Staggers, Councilman Fletcher, Councilman Roth, and Councilwoman Bailey are all on via video and audio feed, and we hope that Councilwoman Avila can join us shortly. Are there any additions, deletions, or deferrals? None. All right. First item is the consent agenda, which would be the minutes from our previous meeting on March 18th, 2020. Do we have a motion for approval, Mr. Shelley? Moved by Councilman Shelley, and for ease of moving forward, I will second it. I'll ask for any councilman who has any comments. I'll just start from one end of the dais and go down the line. Any questions or comments, Councilman Shelley? No. Councilman Fletcher? Any questions or comments on the minutes from the previous meeting?
No additional comments.
None. Vice Mayor Faircloth-Staggers? Councilman Roth?
No.
Councilwoman Bailey?
No.
All right. Thank you all. All right. No further comments then. All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is passed. Agenda item 5, the legislative matters. Madam Manager?
Tab 2, Mayor, one-time bill reduction for electric consumption. Due to the current economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the City of Homestead has implemented several emergency relief measures to assist residents during this time. Stop all utility services disconnects for non-pay, stop all late payment fees, implement a COVID-19 hotline and email to address citizen concerns. In addition, with approval, a one-time 27% credit for the electrical consumption portion of the city's May utility bill. And this will be a reduction for both residential and commercial, but the 27% does not apply to the demand charge portion of the electric bill for the commercial customers. Staff recommends that the mayor and council authorize the city manager to approve a one-time bill reduction for electric consumption portion of the city's utility customer's bill. This bill reduction will be covered by the power cost adjustments anticipated for fiscal year 2020 due to lower fuel charges.
Thank you, Madam Manager. And for the record, I understand that Councilwoman Avila has joined the meeting, and we'll start with Councilwoman Avila and ask if you have any questions or comments on this matter. None? Okay.
None at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bailey?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify that anybody who hasn't been financially impacted, you can pay your regular bill and still end up helping somebody with 27% of your bill. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I appreciate all the hard work from our staff to make this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Roth? Councilman Roth?
No comment, thanks.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Fairclough-Staggers? Vice Mayor?
Wait. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to thank staff for being proactive and providing relief to our residents in the city of Homestead. This is definitely a humanitarian effort, and it's a critical time when many of our residents have been financially impacted. So I appreciate the work that we're doing to support the residents in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Fletcher?
I have no additional comments at this time, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Shelley?
No comments, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Then I will entertain a motion for approval.
Move it.
All right, it's moved by Councilman Shelley, seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Matter carries. Tab 3. Madam Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the HELP Program Memorandum of Understanding with MUJER. We are restarting a program, Homestead Energy Lend a Hand Program, HELP, in order to provide assistance to eligible families and individuals with their homestead utility payment. The program works by providing a one-time assistance of up to $200 per year per residence to any homestead utility customer who is facing a crisis due to unforeseen circumstances and cannot pay their bill. Staff has executed a memorandum of understanding with MUJER, a Florida not-for-profit organization for the administration of the HELP program. As part of the MOU, MUJER must maintain accurate records of credits to be applied by the city for all customers receiving assistance and submit their audited financial statements to the city upon request. MUJER will not be receiving any fee for administering this program, and no money changes hands in this program. It's a voucher system which will be administered by MUJER. This MOU is good through September of 2021, and it can be renewed upon mutual consent. Funding for this program will be through contributions from the City of Homestead utility customers made on their utility bills. And as Councilwoman Bailey pointed out, we are in the May bill encouraging people, if they have not been financially impacted by COVID-19, to donate their 27% credit to this program. Staff requests that the Mayor and Council ratify the MOU with MUJER, and for the record, Susan Rubio Rivera, the Executive Director of MUJER, is on the line if there are any questions.
Thank you. I'll start with Councilman Fletcher to ask if he has any questions of the manager or the representative of MUJER.
Yeah, I have no additional questions at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
No question.
Thank you. Councilman Roth?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bailey?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Avila?
Not at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. My only question to the manager would be, is there a fund balance that we're starting with, or are we starting from scratch and soliciting new contributions?
There is a fund balance that we're starting with, about $7,000.
$7,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this, to my recollection, this program may have been in place as far back as 2001 or earlier, and it was a very successful and helpful program.
Yes. I think the program stopped maybe about 10 years ago, but it was a very good program for a long time, as I understand.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to it, and I know that we have the means to get this word out and
Yes.
can get that up and
Yes,
up
sir.
and
It'll be
running.
on the
I know
bill.
we
Yep.
do. Yeah, we've done a very good job
We will indeed.
at putting out information during this time of crisis. Okay, so I will ask for a motion for approval of the memorandum of understanding.
Move it.
Moved by Councilman Roth. Seconded by Councilman Shelley. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you all. Tab 4, Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Tab 4 is an RFQ 202019 Biscayne Everglades Greenway Trail Feasibility Study. On January 16, 2019, Council accepted a $65,000 grant from Florida Department of Transportation for engineering and design of the Everglades Greenway Trail. On December 20, 2019, procurement noticed RFQ 202019. Staff recommends entering into negotiations with the top 3 ranked firms for RFQ 202019 in order to obtain the most beneficial agreement for the city. The Biscayne Everglades Greenway Trail will be a 23-mile trail connecting Biscayne National Park and Everglades National Park, with approximately 6 miles of the trail within the Homestead city limits from East Maui to Southwest 137 Avenue. This feasibility study will give us an understanding of the preferred route for the west phase from Maui to Canal 103 to the western city limits. Staff recommends that the mayor and council authorize the city manager to enter into negotiations with the top 3 ranked firms, Miller Lake Marlin Engineering, Inc., Kimley Horn, for the award of the RFQ 202019. This project will be funded with the $65,000 FDOT grant, and upon successful negotiations, the city manager will bring the agreement back to council for final approval.
Thank you. And I will turn to Councilwoman Bailey for any questions or comments on this matter.
No, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Roth?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question. I know this project has been going on for many, many, many years. And maybe Councilman Shelley can add to this, but is there a project completion date for the Greenway?
My understanding is that this project is supposed to start construction next year for both our end of it and the county end of it. Pedro, that's correct. The eastern portion of it.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Roth?
So we know the construction will start next year. I know that this has been going on since approximately 2005, 6, and somewhere in that time frame. It's been about 15 years to get this going. I know it's not a project that we're in charge of, but I know it's going to be an asset to the city once it gets started. So do we have a completion date?
We don't have a completion date, but you're right. The map for the trail was drafted back in 2008, but it is expected to begin construction next year.
And if I may say, I'm having a hard time hearing the city manager.
Sure, I'll repeat it. I said that you're right. The master plan and the map for this trail was drafted back in 2008, so it has been some years. And we do expect construction to begin next year, but we don't have a specific timeline.
Great. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Roth. Vice Mayor?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilman Fletcher?
No questions at this time, sir.
Councilman Shelley, anything to add? No, nothing to add. Okay. Thank you. One question that I had, I know, and obviously it's been going in the talking and planning since last time I was on council, and I note in the notes that there was already some engineering and design done, but now we're doing a feasibility study. Seems to be backwards, or was that with respect to another segment?
There's 2 different segments. There's an east segment and a west segment. So the one segment has already been designed, and we have construction money for that, but this is a feasibility study for the west segment.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you for that clarification. All right, so I'll ask for a motion on car item number 2883, which is tab 4 for the Biscayne Everglades Greenway Trail Feasibility Study. Moved by Councilman Shelley.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you all. Motion carries. And finally, tab 5, the purchase of body armor.
Thank you, Mayor. Protective ballistic vests and equipment used by the police department has a service life of 5 years, at which time the armor tends to degrade, reducing its capability of protecting the wearer from injury due to gunfire or other attacks. The current body armor used by the police department is reaching its end of life and needs to be replaced. Staff recommends that the mayor and council authorize the city manager to purchase body armor for the Homestead Police Department from Lewis Police Distributors, Inc. for $26,551.60. This item was placed on Demand Star for additional quotes, and none were received. In addition, in order to ensure that local vendors had an opportunity to participate in this purchase, the Procurement Division issued a request for information to local vendors, and no responses were received.
Thank you. Mr. Roth?
No, I'm good with this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Question.
Okay. Mr. Fletcher?
No questions at this time.
Okay. Vice Mayor, did you have a question?
No, I do not. No question.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shelley? No questions. And Councilwoman Avila?
No questions, thank you.
And Councilwoman Bailey?
No questions for me either. Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Bailey, would you like to move this item?
I would.
And
Move it.
Councilman Shelley will second it. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion carries, and that concludes the legislative matters. Agenda item 6, tab 6. Is that you, Madam Manager, or is that the attorneys?
The attorney will open up with the resolution, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Pearl? Are the attorneys on?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay, there we go. Tab 6 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager to accept grants and other forms of assistance in connection with the COVID-19 emergency, authorizing the city manager to execute related grant agreements and documents, authorizing the city manager to establish budgets to account for awarded funds, providing for implementation, ratification, and for an effective date.
Mayor, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government, as well as other agencies, are making grant monies available to cities in an effort to combat the virus and provide relief to those most affected. Under the city's current procedures, each grant must be taken to council for the application, acceptance, and establishment of a budget prior to the expenditure of the funds. And due to this pandemic, the availability of grant funds from numerous agencies is appearing at a rapid pace, requiring staff to act quickly and acquire funding. As a result, staff is requesting through this resolution to be given prior authority to pursue these funds and maximize the level of funding. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached blanket resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for and enter into agreement and establish a budget as needed for any COVID-19 grant-related public assistance that may become available to the city. And this prior authorization would only last through the existing COVID-19 health emergency.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Question.
Go ahead. Vice Mayor?
No, I don't have any. I don't have
I'm
any
sorry.
questions.
Okay. I think somebody was bleeding over onto your side. Councilman Fletcher?
Yes, I have no questions.
Okay. No questions?
No questions.
Thank you. None, no questions from Councilman Shelley. Councilwoman Avila?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bailey?
None for me either. Thank you.
And Councilman Roth?
No questions.
Thank you. None here. So, Councilman Roth, would you like to move this item?
Move it, please.
Thank you. And I'm sure that Councilman Shelley will jump in with a second. He's our utility man today. That's what you get for showing up. All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Next item, tab 7, car number 2894.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The next item is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and authorizing the city manager to apply for and receive financial assistance for the Hurricane Irma Rebuild Infrastructure Grant Programs, providing for implementation, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, on March 28, 2020, the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity announced the availability of $100 million in funds to help local governments impacted by Hurricane Irma through the Rebuild Florida Infrastructure Repair Program. There's 4 funding opportunities that exist for the city, and Mayor, we intend to apply in four separate programs. The first is Rebuild Florida Critical Facility. Second is IRMA Rebuild Infrastructure Repair Program. The third is Rebuild Florida Mitigation General Planning Program. And the third is Rebuild Florida Mitigation General Infrastructure Program. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to execute and submit applications for the Hurricane Irma Rebuild Infrastructure Grant Programs with the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity.
Thank you. As I read this item, I certainly had some thoughts or some interesting projects that could fall within those categories. So then we'll start with Councilman Shelley. Councilman Fletcher.
No comment.
Vice Mayor.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Roth.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bailey.
None, thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Avila.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Avila, can we enter you as the movant for this matter?
Yes, move it, please.
Okay. Seconded by Councilman Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, tab 8.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, tab 8 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting proposal and approving agreement with Stanley Consultants for an electrical protection system coordination study for the city's Renaissance electrical substation, authorizing the city manager to accept the proposal and execute the agreement with Stanley Consultants and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, the Renaissance Electrical Substation Expansion Project requires an electrical protection system coordination study to determine the proper electrical protection settings for the newly installed substation, transformer, and associated breakers and circuitry. Upon completion in 2020, the Renaissance Substation expansion will ensure sufficient power and system reliability for future growth. Staff reached out to several vendors for quotes, and Stanley Consultants, Inc. was the lowest proposer. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Stanley Consultants, Inc. for the electrical protection system coordination study for the city's Renaissance electrical substation expansion for a total not to exceed $34,600. This item falls under professional services and is exempt from competitive bidding. This project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP number 0823.
Thank you. Councilman Fletcher.
Yeah, I'll move approval.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
No questions.
Councilman Roth.
No questions, thank you.
Councilwoman Bailey.
No questions, thank you.
Councilwoman Avila.
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Shelley. I was a little bit confused. This construction's already underway, but now we've got to go back and I guess through the process we realized we needed some additional protection, or what was?
I'll let Barbara answer the question.
I don't have the controller on, so.
Mr. Mayor, this always was needed for this substation. It's just one of the final pieces that has to be completed before we can put that transformer in service. And so we were holding off until we had purchased the equipment that's going to be, that these settings apply to, before we went and looked for a firm to put together the study and give us the appropriate settings.
Thank you. Okay, so Councilwoman Avila, would you like to move this matter? Somebody like to move the matter for approval?
Sorry, I was on mute still. I'll move it. Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded by Councilman Shelley. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 9.
Tab 9 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Soccer Foundation for a soccer mini pitch, authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Mayor, at the November 20th, 2019 council meeting, council authorized the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Soccer Federation Foundation for a grant to install a soccer mini pitch court at Roby George Park. The U.S. Soccer Foundation has now received the funding for our grant and has presented us with the formal agreement to begin the project. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement and establish a budget for a grant award of $100,000 from the U.S. Soccer Federation Foundation, Inc. for the installation of a soccer mini pitch court at Roby George Park, and there is no match to this grant, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, any questions or comments?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Roth?
No questions, thank you.
Councilwoman Bailey?
Just one more thank you to Pedro for finding this. I've been really excited about it, and it was great to see pictures of what it will look like. I know that it will be a big hit for our area, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Avila?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fletcher?
No questions. Thank you.
And Mr. Shelley? No questions. Thank you. We have a motion for approval.
Move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Bailey. I just saw Mr.
Second.
Fletcher's picture, so I think we'll give him the second on this one. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. And finally, tab 10, car number 2881.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, tab 10 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving work authorization for engineering services required for the city's Harris Field Water Tower Water Supply Well bid documents for water well number 7 for the city's water utility system between the city and Hazen and Sawyer pursuant to continuing contract awarded under RFQ 2013-07, providing for an effective date.
Virtual council meeting at the moment.
Mayor, on February 19, 2020, council accepted a grant award from the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection Agency for the design, construction, and installation of a new supply well, Homestead Well Number 7, for $300,000. The budget allocation for the grant is $100,000 for design and $200,000 for construction. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Hazen and Sawyer pursuant to RFQ 201307, professional architectural and engineering services for the design, preparation of bid documents, and award of a new water supply well, Homestead Well Number 7, for a total not to exceed $87,250. This project is part of the city's capital improvement plan, CIP 2117.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bailey?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilwoman Avila?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Roth?
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Shelley? No questions. Councilman Fletcher?
No questions.
And Vice Mayor?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, would you like to offer this motion for approval?
Absolutely. I move it.
Thank you. And I think I heard a second from Councilman Roth on that one. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is the public comment section. And again, we'll announce that during this meeting and for a period of 30 minutes thereafter, you may submit a comment not exceeding 300 words to public comments at cityofhomestead.com. Again, that's public comments at cityofhomestead.com, and your submission will become part of the permanent record that will be included in the minutes for the next meeting, and certainly review and consideration by staff and members of council. Anything further from the city manager?
Yes, Mayor, just one thing, a message for you and the council, our staff, and our city. Historically, Homestead has faced adversity with dignity and courage, and COVID-19 is no exception. Homestead is again rising to the occasion. This city staff and this city council has managed to work together, though socially distant, of course, and together with the many groups and thousands of volunteers providing food, support, and help to those in need, we are confronting this novel threat. Our priority has been and continues to be the security and safety of all in this city. Our police department has set a standard for enforcement to be admired and duplicated. With compassion and understanding, they have educated our citizenry of the importance of social distancing. Our internal COVID task force has worked tirelessly to meet the demands of this ever-changing situation. From creating our own hotline to senior trolleys, split shifts, outreach to our entire community via flyers, mailers, social media, live updates, direct contact with our vulnerable population, and participation in local, county, and national advisory groups, together we are forging toward a new normal. Our essential services function without interruption thanks to the dedication and creativity of our staff. To all those on the front line, to those behind the scenes, to our mayor and council, I offer my admiration and my thanks. Each day we are seeking new ways to fulfill our mission to serve the public. We know that going forward there will be challenges that demand sacrifices from all, and we remain together and committed to overcoming every hurdle that comes our way. Please continue to observe all CDC guidelines to stop the spread, and please stay safe. And remember, if you have questions or need help, you can call the city hotline Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 p.m., 305-224-4438, or email us at COVID-19, COVID19 at cityofhomestead.com.
Thank you. Anything further from the city attorney?
No, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Shelley?
Nothing today, Mayor.
Councilman Roth?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just want to say and reiterate some of the stuff that Kate said, and thank everyone in the city manager staff, our awesome police department for what they've done over the last 3 or 4 weeks, months, whatever it's been. Lose track of all that stuff. You know, our public works people, sanitation, keeping the streets and the garbage and everything picked up. You know, we take for granted these folks during regular times, and they surely do produce and care and look out and take care of the citizens in our city. And I just want to give them a great big thank you. We got a lot of work still to do. None of this is anybody's fault, but together we will get all through this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Roth. Councilwoman Bailey?
Thank you, Mayor. I definitely want to echo the same. Thank you to our police, our city manager, CRA. All our staff has really done a lot to make sure that all our residents are well during these tough times. Along with the city and the Southwest Advisory Committee, we are still trying to help those without transportation that aren't able to get to the different distribution sites. So please make sure you have that hotline or email available in case you come across anybody that needs it. Furthermore, I offer to help families with the online classes. I mean, I'm a teacher and I am having a very tough time with my 4th grader, but we can definitely help set up a schedule, help if you're having internet problems, just reach out. Lastly, I need to say, speaking of all this community and service, I need to recognize someone who has always been looking out for our community. Miss Adelia Martinez makes 10 years with the Southwest Advisory Committee this month. So hopefully we will all be back in City Hall one of these days soon, so we can congratulate her properly and thank her for being such a great friend to the city and to our community. Be well, everyone. I miss you, colleagues, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bailey. Councilman Fletcher?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to echo the same thoughts with the other members of the council, and a big thank you to all the city staff and employees who have been out there during this very distracting time. They continue to do their jobs on a daily basis and support the residents of the city. And I want to thank them for being out there. A lot of them are, the first people to come in contact with some of those who may be, dealing with this dreaded pandemic, and, for their courage and their commitment to the city. I do want to thank them again, and thanks to the city staff for their support. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fletcher. Councilwoman Avila?
Thank you, Mayor. We're definitely in a challenging time, and I know that we're going to come out of this stronger. I agree that we have faced adversity time and time again, and so for those reasons, I have faith, and I encourage everybody to stay focused on the positive. And I know that we're going to get out of this because of all the hard work of our colleagues and our city departments and all the efforts that have been in place, and the city manager. And I want to thank everybody for all that hard work. Continue, keep your chin up, and for all the parents out there that are going through homeschooling and working from home, we feel your pain. We're all in the same boat. And so know that we're keeping all of that in mind, and we look forward to focusing on surging out of this and recovery. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just also want to reiterate what my colleagues have stated. It's been so encouraging to see the community, a cross-section of this community, come together at a time such as this. This represents the true spirit of this community. And although I can't be out there right now, I am encouraged, and I find comfort in knowing that all of you are out there filling in the gap, making sure those vulnerable populations and everyone in the community is given the support they need. I was brought to tears with the Homestead Police Department when they did the drive-by birthday for the little child in our community, and that is what Homestead is all about. And it's encouraging to be a part of a family and a team such as you. I can't imagine going through this pandemic with anyone else other than all of you. So take care, be well, focus on your mental health, and know that we're going to come out of this real soon. But in the meantime, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is probably the most surreal experience I've ever had. I mean, even walking out the front door or whatever it was after Hurricane Andrew and not recognizing my own street, but living in that kind of world without the physical destruction. And it's just, I really look forward to the time that we can all sit together in this room with each other and with the public and do our thing and have our agreements and our disagreements, but always move forward. It's just something that we truly are living through. Let's hope a one-time moment in history, writing the playbook on an hour-by-hour basis. It's not even daily; it's just an hourly thing. But in that regard, as unusual as these times are, we're trying to maintain some air of normalcy. I think a president once used that word one time. I don't know if it's a real word, but anyway. So we have a couple of proclamations that we do this time of year, and I want to take a moment to read them. And unfortunately, we don't have representatives here to accept them, but we do want to note Fair Housing Month, as well as Nurses Week and special shout out to Homestead Hospital. But first, whereas April 11th, 2020 marks the 52nd anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing for all who live in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination based on race, color, creed, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, and national origin, and encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens. And whereas the City of Homestead, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, concerned citizens in the housing industry are working together to realize the dream of fair and affordable housing for all residents. Whereas the City of Homestead is committed to highlight the fair housing law of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 by continuing to address discrimination in our community, to support programs that will educate the public about the right to equal housing opportunities, and to plan partnership efforts with other organizations to help assure every American of their right to fair housing. Now, therefore, I, Stephen D. Lossner, Mayor of the City of Homestead, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2020 as Fair Housing Month in Homestead. And certainly, and I don't think anything happens by coincidence, some of the stories I've seen on social media lately of some of the conditions that are being revealed by some of the families that are suffering already in this community, it renews my pledge and my commitment to make sure that everyone in this community, no one in this community is forced to live in substandard housing. And secondly, this is Nurses Week, and how appropriate as we salute those who are working multi-hour shifts day after day and putting themselves out on the front line of this pandemic. So whereas over 3 million registered nurses in the United States constitute our nation's largest healthcare profession, and whereas the nursing profession plays a critical role in improving patient outcomes, access, coordinating care, and reducing healthcare costs, and whereas the depth and breadth of the registered nursing profession meet the different and emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a wide range of settings. Wow, isn't that true? Field hospitals, tents, drive-through, and traditional hospitals. Wide range of settings, particularly during this challenging time. Whereas a renewed emphasis on primary and preventative health care will require better utilization of all of our nation's registered nursing resources. And whereas more qualified registered nurses will be needed in the future to meet the increasingly complex needs of healthcare consumers in this community. And whereas along with the American Nurses Association, Homestead Hospital, and the City of Homestead have declared the week of May 6th through 12th as Nurses Week. Therefore, the City of Homestead asks all residents to join in honoring registered nurses who care for all of us, not just during this week, but at every opportunity, and might I add, selflessly throughout the year. Now, therefore, I, Stephen D. Lossner, Mayor of the City of Homestead, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of May 6th through 12th, 2020 as Nurses Week in Homestead. And I know that most of the RNs in our community are not sitting at home or at work watching this council meeting, but I want them to know that all of our thoughts and thanks and well wishes are with them, and there's no way that we can thank them, our police officers and our first responders, or our city management and staff for what they have done and put together from scratch. And what are we in? Is this week 6 now? I don't. It doesn't even matter anymore. It's Groundhog Day seemingly over and over again. So I want to echo the manager's comments and call her out and thank her for leading the team that's been pretty proactive. Despite what the zip code reports say, the City of Homestead, I think, has a very low infection rate, positive tested infection rate at this point, despite what those zip code reports say. And he's probably not going to want me to say this, but every disaster has its standout hometown hero, and Farm Share, led by Steve Shelley, is the standout hero organization of this, and his efforts throughout, and their efforts throughout the state have brought national and probably international acclaim before all this is over with. And it's just astounding to me that an organization that started out in a little end of a rented space in a packing house 25 or 30 years ago has grown into the organization that it is today, distributing millions and millions of pounds of food throughout the state of Florida. And we were talking before the meeting, and nearly three quarters of what's been distributed statewide has been right here in Miami-Dade County. And it's just amazing to see the gratitude in the eyes of those that receive those packages that, in many cases, that's all that keeps them going until the next event at some other church or another farm share event. So, I'll say it, if there's a standout locally in this situation, it's farm share led by our own mayor, Steve Shelley. So we thank you and commend you for your 24/7 efforts. And along the lines of trying to get back to normalcy, I've had some discussions with the manager, and for those of you who might be on the committees, we're trying to get back into the swing of things to continue and go forward with our charter review so that we can wrap things up, get it to council, and get some approvals or redirections to get it back on to the supervisor of elections by August to get on the November ballot. And if we can coordinate council, and I think today's been a pretty good test run for this virtual system, is hopefully get back to our moratorium workshops. We were just at the edge of having the real meat and potatoes information in front of us, and we did, and we never got to sit and talk about it. And those are the things that are still going to be important as we go forward. And I know our city planner, wearing his hat as mayor of Pinecrest, has been a little busy as well, been on several Zoom meetings with the coalition of mayors, and we'll get it together when we can. And again, I just want to reiterate, it's interesting how we're all not operating in a vacuum or separately, that we've established now and really gelled a close alliance between the leadership of Florida City, Homestead, Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, and Pinecrest to act regionally and to speak with one voice, not only during COVID, but from this point forward. And I think it will serve all of us very well. So with that, thank you all, and I think I heard Councilman Shelley move to adjourn, and I will second that. And all in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Thank